today and right now, it's a very special moment for me, a point of great personal privilege, as we now honor someone that I have had the privilege to work with for more than 23 years. Our board can think of no one who better reflects the commitment to making life better for Chicago's low-income community than our very own Doug Dobmeyer, who is retiring from the board today. From his early start providing direct service to the homeless in Chicago to his natural evolution serving as a nonprofit and community leader, Doug has been a vocal advocate for Chicago's poor. His commitments to social justice is absolutely extraordinary, and we're all beneficiaries of his determination, his passion, his imagination, and most of all, his persistence. For more than 40 years, Doug has worked tirelessly on behalf of Chicago's poor as a caring and absolutely relentless advocate. His efforts have resulted in thousands of Chicagoans having a safe and decent place to call home. Doug, I'd like to ask you to come to the podium, and I'd like to read this to you as we present this award. Whereas Douglas C. Dobmeyer has been a consistent and tireless advocate for the development and preservation of safe, well-maintained, low-income, and affordable housing in the city of Chicago, and whereas Doug has served as a community leader and advocate for Chicago's homeless, and whereas Douglas C. Dobmeyer has served as a leader and negotiator in efforts to protect the interests of low-income households being displaced due to the development of presidential towers, and whereas Douglas C. Dobmeyer was instrumental in the city's creation of the Chicago Low-Income Housing Trust Fund and was appointed to the first board of directors in 1989, and whereas Douglas C. Dobmeyer has worked tirelessly as an advocate to assure passage of legislation replicating the Chicago Low-Income Housing Trust Fund's rent subsidy program statewide with enactment of the Illinois Rental Housing Support Program, now be it hereby resolved that the Chicago Low-Income Housing Trust Fund's Partnership Award shall be named the Douglas C. Dobmeyer Award and will honor individuals and/or organizations who exhibit the extraordinary personal commitment to social justice and respect for community development through the innovative creation, development, and preservation of affordable housing, proclaimed this 17th day of October 2012 by a very grateful Board of Directors of the Chicago Low-Income Housing Trust Fund. Doug, it is an honor to name this award after you and the example that you have set for community service to all of us here in the city. Congratulations.
Okay. You know, a lot of times when people turn on microphones, they don't work. This one does. That's good. I want to thank the board for the partnership award and also for naming it for me. That's sort of cool. And you know, this has been a partnership that I've had, and some people might have a hard time believing this, but it's true, with the board, with the city of Chicago, with landlords, and with tenants. It takes that kind of mix to make this program work. And I thank everyone in this room who has had a part in making that work, because I'll tell you, the alternative isn't very nice. There's a couple of people I want to thank in particular. One of them was just a speaker here, Tom McNulty, both as a chair and someone who understands the issue and the people. I mean, Tom's a tax attorney, works on LaSalle Street. I always tell him that you're a tax attorney with a social worker's heart. And I think it's true. And he does his best, damn good actually, to make sure things happen. I also want to thank the staff of the trust fund. And I'd like for them to stand if they're in the room. I hope they are. Carrie Steinbuck, who's the executive director. Nora Salvador, who's in the back. Michelle Acito. Is Michelle here? There you are. And Abby Peterman. Abby's a co-grad or a graduate of Indiana University, where I went, so we have a bond there. Anyway, and I also want to thank someone who's not here, and that's former Mayor Richard Daley. He believed in the concept, and he supported Cliff with financial and political resources during his whole tenure in office. Several times I asked him in a public setting, because that's where you ask those kind of questions. If you watched the debate last night, it's where you ask those kind of questions. I said to the mayor, I said, I want to make sure that we don't have a cut to our, he said, no problem. You're going to have your money. And he kept his word, 100%. So I have very strong feelings for the mayor for doing what he said he would do. There's a couple people I also need to thank, and I want to introduce them. My wife, Candy Huber. My son, Paul Dobmeyer, who's a veteran, just returned from the Navy for 5 years. Way out there in Guam. Anyway. And my daughter Amelia, who is working today, she's in a courtroom at helping women get orders of protection. So she's a social worker. But all these people have been there for me over the years, sometimes maybe not so much, wondering what the hell Dad is doing, blah, blah, blah. But without them, I wouldn't be up here today, I can tell you that. Being on the board has been tough, but it's been eminently a strong role to assist Chicago's poorest residents. You heard Deborah talk about 2,900 units. That translates into approximately 5,000 people. Now, for those who are doing their quick analysis on their computers, they'll know that does not reach the problem in Chicago. However, it reaches more people than if we weren't doing anything. I wish we could do more, and I hope over the years that as Cliff moves ahead, that more support will come. Financial and political support will come to this organization so we can provide the funding for more people. And as Cliff moves ahead, it's important for the trust fund to be equipped with those financial resources, that individuals and families who cannot live in housing because they can't afford housing. It's pretty simple what people have to figure out on this, and it's real easy to do. There's also one person in the back I just saw come in, David Starrett, who is our lobbyist in Springfield. Dave and I go back a long way, and I had to convince the board to hire him. I had to convince the board to hire a lobbyist because that costs money, but he has produced so much bang for the buck in terms of the little bit of money we paid him. I never told you this, David, it's a little bit, but anyway, in relation to what we've gained. And he was instrumental in getting a state law passed that has a recordation fee when you sell your property or you refinance or whatever. So I want to thank David for that. Anyway, the trust fund will continue on, we'll move on, I will move on. I will continue doing things that I think are beneficial to poor people in this city, and I hope that all of you will continue doing what you're doing. Tom, thanks.